everyone, and welcome to Live, Laugh, Learn TV. I'm Dr. Carol Morgan.
And I'm Jeff Louderback. Thanks for joining us again.
Yeah, thanks so much. This is so fun to do this. And today we're going to talk about reinventing yourself and making changes in your life, and not only not being afraid to do it, but having the self-discipline to do it and all that good stuff. But we have a guest. Our lovely guest today is Kim Addis. She's the owner of where we are here now, the Marriage Studio. So if anyone in Beaver Creek is looking to get married, look them up. It's so gorgeous. It's like this great alternative if they don't want to go to the courthouse, but you don't want a big wedding,
Exactly.
And this is just a beautiful, beautiful place here. So check them out. So anyway, so what do you guys think? Like, Jeff, I know that you made kind of a big life change in the last year or so by moving. Like, tell everybody about that. Like, why did you do it? Were you afraid to do it? And I mean...
Well, I've actually made two because I'm from this area, and I moved to Florida originally. That was back in 2002. I was maybe 32, 33 years old. And I was, as the years went on, missing my parents' family and wanted to be back. So that was about a year ago in April. And I packed everything I had in my SUV and my dog and sold everything else and decided to move back and moved in to a townhouse built in the side of a barn on a horse farm. And here I am.
And then you had to, because if you don't know, Jeff is a publicist, and so you probably had your clients down there. So did you just like retain I mean, that must have been scary just from like a job point of view, because a lot of people, in their middle-aged years kind of rethink their career. They kind of maybe accidentally fell into something and they've been doing it just out of security and they don't like it. And then, that must have been kind of a, I mean, I think you changed careers, but that was a big risk, wasn't it?
Well, I get easily bored.
Oh, okay.
And
risk for me.
Being a writer, author, and publicist, I've worked on my own for 12 years now. After earlier in my career, I worked for newspapers and magazines and PR firms. But on your own, obviously, you could work or live wherever, because in the internet age, I primarily work with people all around the country. So yeah, I just was getting burnt out on Florida, and when you're single, obviously you can make those decisions by yourself, and you can even do it spontaneously if you want. So yeah, I work with people all around, so I decided I want to be back home again, and I made the decision within, I would say, about a month time frame, and like I said, sold everything I had in Florida and bought everything new here.
So what about you, Kim? Like, what kind of major changes have you made in your life? And like, were they difficult decisions, or you know what I mean? Like, how did you know?
I think, major decisions are major decisions. I think they're always difficult. I made a major decision to move my whole family to Nashville, Tennessee in 1997.
Okay.
So my oldest daughter stayed up here. She was going to college. And then the youngest two kids and I, we moved down to Hendersonville, Tennessee, and I started a new job and, left family here. But it was a great decision. I had a great job as a paralegal and worked for a great law firm. The kids did well. And then I had another life change where I moved back here.
Okay, you guys sound like your twins.
To be closer to family and stuff, and had changed jobs again, changed careers. So I've been a paralegal in my life. I've been a project manager, and now I'm in sales and doing the Marriage Studio. So
what advice would you give people out there who are like not happy in their career and they want to do something different, but they just don't know how, or like don't have the courage, or because it does take a lot of courage to do
it.
What
Does
you've
take
done.
a lot of courage, but it just takes the first step. I wouldn't say change your whole life without having a plan. Have a job, have something to go toward.
Right.
But when you get to a certain age, it's not about the money anymore. It's about
happiness, right?
Happiness and what you're doing for other people, and how to make something in your life mean something. So now in my 50s, it's about doing something that I really think is going to help serve a purpose. So
like serving humanity kind of thing?
Serving humanity, filling a gap, like you said. And, I'm not plugging the Marriage Studio, but it all came about my parents' 60th wedding anniversary and how they went and got married at the judge's house with just their friends, and it cost them $25. And then working in large hotel industries, it's $15,000 minimums, and it's really hard. So it made me think, there really is a market for people that don't have that kind of money.
Right,
that just want
which
it
is
to be
most
about
people.
marriage,
Yeah,
not about the
exactly.
big wedding.
Yes.
Day.
Yeah, we were talking about that
Yeah.
earlier, how like our culture really teaches us that, it's the big wedding and that's like that day is
Yeah.
important instead of like the next 50 years of your
Yeah,
life.
it's about how
Mhm.
do you make the next 50 years
Yeah.
work, not that 7-hour reception and wedding day. So that's kind of how I came about that.
Which actually kind of leads into another life event really that can make people need to reinvent themselves, which
Yeah.
is divorce, right? I mean,
Yes.
you're divorced, I'm divorced, you've been through, you've been engaged, and so you've had breakups and stuff. And I think that so many people, especially when you have kids and you're divorced, like, you kind of like, now what? Because you spend so many years with this plan, with this person, and then you're kind of like, do need to reinvent. Because I know, like, when I separated, my kids were young, they were like 3 and 5, and all of my friends were married with little kids. I couldn't call them and say, hey, you want to go hang out at the bar tonight? Leave your kids and your husband. That wasn't going to happen. So it took me a while to meet new single friends and to develop like a whole new life and a whole new circle of friends. And it really difficult, especially when you have young kids or even older kids. I mean, I still don't like leave my teenagers at home at night on the weekends or anything, So it's a really scary time for a lot of people. So how did you handle that?
Well, fortunately, when you have kids, you have kids.
Mm-hmm.
So you reach out toward your children. You become more involved with your kids because they really are priceless. You can't replace
Absolutely.
those. Dating with children is different. You don't just date.
Mm-hmm.
You got to really be careful on who you bring into your children's life and stuff.
Absolutely.
But I guess I always felt such a strong bond with my children, maybe because I was basically a single mother for so many years.
That's how I
You
feel.
just get closer to them.
You do.
They become such a friendship with them as well. Now that they're older, that's who I hang out with. That's who I want to be with.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I've always said too that I think I'm actually a better mother because I'm divorced.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you do bond. Not that you wouldn't bond with them,
Right.
but you
It's
have
just
that
different.
that extra special one-on-one time with them.
You do.
But yeah, I mean, being in that space of now, I mean, I'm still a parent, but now I'm a single parent, and then dating and finding new friendships. It's especially if you don't have a good social network of family and friends to help you out. Yeah, yeah,
That's true. Especially when I moved to Columbus, there were no children there. They were off doing their own things.
Mm-hmm.
So your friends become who you work with.
Mm-hmm.
But you do find yourself with a lot of downtime at night.
Yeah, because my kids are almost 13 and 15, and I'm seeing the empty nest phase on the horizon. I mean, I know it might sound like a long time away, but 5 years goes like that, right? So I'm imagining myself too, like, what am I going to do with myself then? Because
This.
I like the way you just said. More shows and more drinking. Right? That's awesome. So what about you, Jeff? Like, how did you reinvent yourself after a breakup?
Well, I think I've said that I've been engaged twice, and the first time I was with someone for most of my 20s and 30s. So that was different because that was someone I expected to be with my entire life, and it was a very difficult time for me. And the second time was just me not thinking with my full faculty. I meant with my full faculties.
So you ignored red flags, right?
Yeah, I ignored a lot of
Talk
red
about
flags,
more,
rushed into something, and it didn't. And I was actually relieved when it ended, and that was maybe.
It's a whole other show.
Gosh, that was maybe 2.5, 3 years ago. So, and here I am, and I'm happy in a good place in my life, and I think that's important.
Yeah.
And that's another show too. That
Yeah.
it's important to be in a good place, both for professional and for personal relationships.
Yeah, and I think that's an important thing that we need to leave everybody with, because we need to wrap this up, is following what makes you happy. I think so many people are just so either afraid to make a change, to reinvent themselves, or maybe they don't even know what happy looks like. They've been so stuck for a while. And so, when you ask people what they want, sometimes they say, I don't know, you know, and so how can you make a change if you don't know?
And
So
then
that's,
make a change.
yeah. So, you know, that's what advice I would give you guys is like, think about who you are, and take some time alone, you know, and get to know yourself, what makes you happy, what doesn't make you happy, you know. And sometimes people know what doesn't make them happy more than what makes them happy. So start with that, you know, like what doesn't make me happy? Well, if you don't want that, you want the opposite, right?
Exactly.
And so, you know, weigh the pros and cons of making a change. And to me, if you're not happy, the price of staying where you are is way more of a con, you know, way more costly than, you know, moving on. So
Yeah, better to
anyway.
be alone than in a relationship that's not fulfilling.
Or in a job maybe that doesn't make as much money, but you love more than your last job. You know, whatever your life change or whatever you want to do to reinvent yourself, I think is important. And, you know, to have the courage and, you know, have people around you to support you too, you know.
Agreed.
Well, I wish we could talk a lot
Go all
longer
day,
about this.
that's
You know, time goes like that, but we are out of time. So thank you, everybody, so much for joining us. And thank you, Kim,
You're
so
very
much for
welcome. Thank
being
you
on
for
here. Thank you
having
for
me.
letting us use the Marriage
Absolutely. Glad you
Studio.
came.
Yeah, and again, everybody check out the Marriage Studio because it's a gorgeous place. You know, anyone who's getting married, if you know somebody who's getting married. So Jeff is going to tell you where you can find us. So.
Exactly, and as far as the Marriage Studio, you can find the Marriage Studio on Facebook, just as you can find Live, Laugh, Learn TV on Facebook. And feel free to visit the Live, Laugh, Learn TV YouTube channel page and find us on livelaughlearntv.com.
And thanks again, Kim, for joining us and all of you out there. And hopefully we'll see you next time. And until then, remember to live, laugh, and learn.